Have you ever felt like no matter how much love, patience, or reassurance you give, it only pushes them further away? One moment they're warm, open, and engaged, and the next they're cold, distant, or gone without explanation. You keep asking yourself, what did I do wrong? You replay every word, every message, every silence. But here's the truth. It's not about what you did. It's about what you don't yet understand. Hey, I'm Jim Rohn, and if you've ever been in a relationship with someone who has an avoidant attachment style, then you know the pain of feeling emotionally abandoned while still being physically present in the same space. It's confusing, exhausting, and over time, it can quietly destroy your sense of worth. But what if I told you that avoidants don't run from you? They run from what connection awakens in them. And more importantly, what if I told you there's one shift, a very specific emotional posture you can make that completely flips the dynamic? Today, we're diving deep into that exact shift. Not a trick, not a manipulation, but a grounded, self-respecting change that disarms avoidance and invites truth. Because when you do this, avoidants can no longer hide behind their usual strategies, and that's when the real breakthrough happens. This video isn't about chasing, fixing, or overfunctioning. It's about reclaiming your emotional power. So, if you're ready to stop the cycle, finally feel seen, and start healing from the inside out, make sure to subscribe right now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single insight that can help you stop abandoning yourself just to be chosen. And by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why they pull away, but why your stillness might be the loudest message they've ever heard. Let's begin. Avoidance will always run from connection until you stop chasing. Now, before I explain exactly what this shift looks like, there's something you need to understand that most people get wrong. The more emotionally reactive you are, the more you unintentionally confirm their fear that closeness is unsafe. I know that sounds counterintuitive. You might think that expressing your feelings, showing how much you care, or trying to resolve conflict demonstrates commitment. And in a securely attached relationship, that would be true. But with an avoidant partner, that emotional energy often has the opposite effect. To them, it feels like pressure. It feels like intensity. It feels like you're stepping into territory they don't know how to handle, territory where vulnerability is required and control slips away. Your natural desire to connect gets interpreted as an emotional demand they didn't sign up for. So instead of leaning in, they back away, quietly, defensively, and often without explanation. And I get it. This can be incredibly frustrating. You're doing what most emotionally healthy people would do in a relationship, communicating, caring, showing up. But the avoidant nervous system doesn't respond to connection the same way. It reads closeness as risk. And that's why the key, the one thing that changes everything, is learning not to react. That doesn't mean shutting down. It doesn't mean ignoring your needs. It means holding your emotional ground with calm clarity. It means resisting the urge to fix, pursue, or overfunction in the face of their retreat. And yes, that's hard, especially when you know the version of them that exists beneath the avoidance, the one who's capable of real intimacy when they feel safe. But as long as their avoidance is driving the relationship, you'll keep hitting the same wall. So here's the truth that can be difficult to accept. The turning point isn't when they suddenly change. It's when you stop trying to manage their discomfort and start honoring your own. Because that's when the dynamic begins to shift. Not through force, but through stillness, through self-respect, through emotional boundaries that say, I'm here for connection, but not at the cost of abandoning myself. And this brings us to a powerful shift, one that quietly changes everything. You have to stop chasing them. I know that sounds easier said than done, especially when your heart is involved and your intentions are sincere. But let's be honest. How many times has the cycle played out the same way? They pull away, you feel confused, you try to reach out, maybe through a text, a call, or just checking in. Not out of pressure, but out of care. Because deep down, you know they're not going to be the one to initiate repair. That's always been you, hasn't it? You're the one who closes the gap, the one who tries to understand, the one who keeps the connection from falling apart. And maybe it works for a moment, until it doesn't. Because before long, they pull back again, and the emotional roller coaster starts all over. This is what avoidant dynamics thrive on: distance followed by your pursuit. But here's the truth. Every time you chase, you unintentionally confirm their fear that closeness is overwhelming, so they run farther. And you're left feeling more depleted than the last time. That's why the most counterintuitive but powerful thing you can do is stop trying to fix it. Not to punish them, but to protect your own peace. Because doing all the emotional labor again and again will eventually wear you down, and it's not sustainable. You've shown strength, patience, compassion. You've proven your commitment over and over. But now the real shift begins when you choose not to carry it all anymore. Avoidants are wired to respond to space, not pressure. The moment you stop reaching, something different begins to unfold. They don't feel the weight of your emotional urgency. They start to feel a strange kind of safety, because your stillness signals no threat, no expectation, and that's when something surprising can happen. They begin to notice your absence. They begin to step out of their defense mode. For the first time, they may feel the pull to come toward you, and that, right there, is a pivotal turning point. Because you've spent so long being the one who shows up first. But now the roles start to shift. Not because you forced it, but because you finally stopped forcing anything. And while this isn't the only change needed, it's the doorway that opens everything else. Now, let's talk about the second shift. Your calm detachment becomes a wake-up call for them. What do I mean by that? I mean you stop reacting. You don't chase when they pull away. You don't celebrate when they suddenly come back. You just hold steady. It's like saying, "Oh, okay, that's where you're at emotionally. Cool. Do what you need to do. I'll be here living my life." You're not angry, you're not dramatic, you're not begging for attention. You're simply meeting their energy with calm neutrality. You're doing exactly what they've done to you. Only this time, it's coming from a grounded place, not fear. And yes, I get it. Deep down, you probably still care. You might even be scared of losing them. But what matters most is that you don't let that fear run the show anymore. This moment is powerful because it puts the responsibility back where it belongs, on them. When you stop feeding the pattern, they can no longer spin it into "you're too emotional" or "you're the reason I need space." No. You've stepped back with grace. You've matched their distance without bitterness, and here's what happens. They notice. That silence, that peace, it's different this time. It's not the silence of need, it's the silence of need. It's the silence of self-respect, and for someone who's used to controlling emotional dynamics through withdrawal, that's unsettling. In a good way. You're not playing games. You're showing them, if this relationship is going to grow, I won't be the only one doing the emotional heavy lifting anymore, and that's when real change becomes possible. You're no longer stepping in too close. You're no longer over-explaining, over-giving, or showing up to manage their emotional discomfort, and maybe for the first time they start to feel what it's like when you stop being their emotional cushion. They begin to realize you're no longer available to be used as a crutch to make their avoidance feel comfortable. And that's huge, because until now, they've had the luxury of retreating while knowing you'd always fill the gap, always smoothing things over, always being the one to keep the connection alive. But now, you're done playing that role, and suddenly they have to sit with the reality of what they've created. That their avoidant behaviors haven't just strained the relationship, they've broken it. And not because you gave up too quickly, but because you finally chose yourself. That's when the emotional power dynamic shifts. The avoidant is no longer the one creating distance. Now they're the one left wondering why you're not reaching out, wondering why the usual script isn't working anymore. This emotional reversal creates confusion for them, real confusion, because everything they've relied on to keep intimacy at a distance no longer applies. You're not chasing, you're not fixing, you're not playing your part in the cycle. And that's where things start to break open. For the first time, they're the one who feels anxious. They're the one unsure of where they stand. They might not say it out loud, but inside, they're scrambling, because the only way they've ever known how to feel safe is through control. And you just took that control away by stepping back with grace. Now they're left with a choice. Stay in the same avoidant patterns and lose you, or show up differently. Either way, something has to change. And this is where the shift really starts to take root. Because you're no longer the one doing all the chasing. You've stepped back, and suddenly they're the one feeling the space. The balance begins to reset. You've stopped over-functioning. You're not demanding perfection. You're simply asking for progress, for growth, for the two of you to meet halfway and stop letting this avoidant pattern sabotage something that could have been good. But here's the truth. They have to face that themselves. They have to feel the weight of their own behavior and realize how damaging it's been, not just for you, but for the relationship as a whole. And this is the hard part. You don't know yet if they're actually ready to do that. Sure, they might show some signs, maybe they seem more engaged, maybe they're saying the right thing, but are they really ready to change? Or are they just doing enough to pull you back in, to reset the emotional rhythm so everything feels familiar again? That's where you have to pause and ask yourself something deeply honest. Do I want to keep doing this? Can I keep showing up in this dynamic without losing parts of myself? And whatever answer comes up, whether it's hopeful or heartbreaking, you owe it to yourself to listen. Because yes, you love them. Yes, you see potential. But potential is not a promise. And you deserve more than someone who shows up only when it's convenient, then disappears the moment real closeness arrives. You deserve someone who chooses you fully, freely, consistently. Someone who wants to be there the same way you do. And you will find that person. But right now, your job is to be honest with yourself about what you need and brave enough to follow through, because you are worthy of that kind of love. Always. Though here's what I want to leave you with. You don't have to keep proving your worth to someone who's still deciding whether or not to meet you halfway. Love doesn't require constant chasing. Real connection can only happen when two people are willing to step toward each other, not when one person keeps running and the other keeps trying to close the distance. You've done enough. You've shown up with love, with effort, with patience. And now your next step is to honor yourself by stepping back, by creating space, and by letting the dynamic speak for itself. Because sometimes it's not about making the other person change, it's about seeing clearly what they choose to do when you're no longer carrying the weight for both of you. Whether this person eventually shows up for you or not, this journey has already given you something valuable. Clarity. Clarity about your needs, your limits, and your strength. You are not too much. You are not the problem. You are someone learning to love with boundaries, and that's powerful. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end of this video. If this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Share your story, your experience, or even just one insight that stuck with you. Your voice matters here. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next conversation. We're building something honest here, something real, and you're a part of it. Until next time, take care of your heart. It's always been worth protecting.